Fulligan lived in Woken Street, a gentle Irishman, mighty old. I mean, up a brogue so rich and sweet, and the rise in the world he carried on. I tell me ass for a tippling way, for the love of the liquor for him was born. Help him on, every work, every day, had a drop of the carry to have free moan. What to you now, Nancy, a partner with the flory and try your shake. Oh, wasn't it? I to fight till he looked at bone, at Finnegan's what on its him was rather full. His head was heavy, which made him shake. He fell from the ladder and he broke his skull. They carried him off his cops to wake. I rolled him up with a noise clean sheet, laid him out upon the bed. I got no whiskey out his feet and a barrel of porter at his head. What to you now, Nancy, a partner with the flory and try your shake. Wasn't it? I to fight till he looks at bone, at Finnegan's wake.
Hey everybody, welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. I'm Nick.
I'm Kevin. This is going in the video.
This is going in the video.
We're doing outtakes.
Yeah, and who's the other guy? Who are you?
I don't know. He just bombed into our Zoom video.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Franklin, we got tonight. FDR here tonight.
FDR
just for tonight.
We
are Catholics, all three of us, who drink old fashions, and we're deep in our vocation, so we record late at night. So thanks for joining us late at night.
And since we like to drink old fashions, that's what each of us are drinking tonight. But you can drink anything of your choice. In any event, we will pause it and put our drinks up on the screen, and you can get an old fashioned or a drink of your choosing. So feel free to pause it now.
Welcome back. I want to say for tonight, because we have Bill back again, so there's no intro needed. Bill Donahue, not FDR.
I'm so grateful. Not FDR, no. WCD. It's great to be back, lads. I so thoroughly enjoyed last time we talked for like 2 hours or whatever it was.
I know.
So
thanks
great.
for having me back.
We had to cut some stuff out. I wanted to say, so tonight I wanted to give credit where credit is due. For Christmas, I got a couple of really, I got the bell, or the replica of the bell from It's a Wonderful Life, from the company who, look, every time a bell rings, and nice. I don't know why, but I mean, obviously it's not the one from the studio, but it was the little card with it says it was one of these bells that was actually on the tree. And for some reason that just made me cry. Anyway, among all the gifts that I got, I also got some Woodford Reserve bourbon from my stepdad. And I love it. So tonight I did a mix. I did what Kevin kind of does. I did the Northwoods. So I have the Woodford Reserve, and I did 2 ounces of that. And then I used maple syrup, which I just poured a dash of that into it. And I didn't have cherries, but I had maraschino cherry stuff. And then I did 5 dashes of bitters because that was just a bitter night. So I wanted to say that's what I'm doing. So what are you guys drinking tonight?
How about you go first, Bill? Because I'll grab mine.
For sure. So I've got some maraschino cherries with probably 6 dashes of bitters.
Oh, one up.
Some silver syrup. Well, it's silver to me. It's silver on my tongue. It's a simple syrup. I got some Jim Beam honey bourbon, and then a boatload of ice and a little tonic water too, as well.
Oh, nice. Tonic?
Yeah.
That's cool. I've never had that in there. All right, Kevin, what do you got? Oh, well, and I do want to congratulate Bill, because last time he was on, he had a coffee mug, and this time we can at least see it. So now we know
he's upgraded to a jar, so he's at least drinking like a college student would.
He just ate all the jelly out real quick and then just
That's right. I'm all buzzed up.
Yep. And I seem to be under some sort of attack right now. My back has just started itching profusely out of nowhere.
Wow.
Like, I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe
Pour
I'm
some
allergic.
bourbon on it.
Yeah, I just got to pour some bourbon. This is a shout out to my parents. This is a Christmas present for my parents. This is the Jim Beam Repeal batch. So, non-chill filtered. I'm not versed enough in bourbon to know the difference between chill filtered or non-chill filtered.
Non-chill filtered.
But it's non-chill filtered, and it is a recipe that mimics right after they repealed prohibition. When they first were making it again. So that's what this recipe is, and it's quite good. I would never buy it for myself because I only buy Evan Williams. Whatever's on the bottom on sale, that's what I'm buying.
$6.
Well,
that's
your limit. Funny one time,
thank you, Mom and Dad.
My brother-in-law was like, "So what are you drinking?" I had made him a drink, and he said, "What are you drinking?" And I was like, "Well, it's got Jim Beam in there, or not Jim Beam, Evan Williams." And he's like, Is it the green label?" I was like, "Oh, no." He's like, "Okay, never buy the green label." So apparently it's really, really bad. And then the black label is just really good. So I think that was it for the.
I never planned to find out.
No, I know. Yeah. So tonight we are, just for the people watching, the reason we're getting together tonight, because after we filmed our last episode with Bill, we were texting a few days later, and he was talking about how fun it was to be lighthearted, to laugh and whatnot. And he sent me this clip of just the transcript from a Fulton Sheen bit on the divine sense of humor. And I read it, and I just loved it. So you can see it on YouTube. It's about a 22-minute thing, and
so good.
And it's wonderful. Just the idea that that people who have a sense of humor and a divine sense of humor, they see through things. Like humor results in seeing through things. Like somebody could see something and it wouldn't be funny to them, but somebody who sees it as funny or can laugh about it can see through things. So he even mentions in times of great sorrow and confusion, the person who can still laugh is seeing beyond. And I don't know, it just hit me because I think in COVID, especially, people laugh obviously a lot less. People seem to have a lot less to laugh about. And we know that due to the lockdowns, that there are huge effects, negative effects of the lockdowns that we won't know, that are only coming to light. And they're very serious, and they're some of them are deadly, and there's a lot of abuse and neglect and things like that. So I just started, when I got that from him, I texted back. I'm like, you know what? Next time you're willing to be on the show, we're just gonna get together, and why don't we find reasons to laugh and upbeat things? And so I've been compiling a list of things that have happened in our life that are funny and whatnot. And I had told the guys to do the same. So I don't know if you guys are ready just to talk.
Yeah, I'm ready to have my mind blown by Bill again. This time with humor. Last time he used blowing our minds with adopting embryos, and now I'm just like, what does this guy got?
Archaeos.
Just camping.
That was so fun. We ranged. I mean, we were all over the place. It was so much fun. No, I'm just pumped to hear what you guys are sharing. But I do have a running list of stuff our kids have said.
Oh, there you go.
Which is mostly hilarious, sometimes deeply profound. But just the quirky stuff. I mean, we're dads, we're husbands, and just having kids, life itself is sometimes hilarious. And I agree, Nick. The climate of late this past year, the weight of it, right? I mean, just so heavy, and we need to laugh. Like literally, the tonic of silliness is an essential. It's not an ornamental. Like we need to see through things. If we can't see through this, we're just gonna like wrinkle up into a ball and just Kleenex all over the place because then there's no meaning, right? The thing about humor and the sacramental vision that sees through things is that you don't take yourself so seriously. You don't take the world so seriously. You don't take death seriously, which sounds scandalous, but like we can even laugh at that because Christ has conquered death, right? Death has died. And man, we need to hear that today.
The John Donne poem "Death Be Not Proud" is just one among my favorites ever. Just because if you know the poem or not, but he is just like a smirky little wink at death. The whole poem is written to death, just saying, "What do you got? You like even if you kill me, I just look like I'm sleeping. Sleep is restful. Sleep is good." And the poem builds until the end. It just says, "And in the end, death, you shall die." And like just that idea that like what do you got? Like what can you throw at me if I see things correctly? This priest I knew right when I was becoming Catholic, he used to talk about seeing things on the horizon of eternity. You can't look at this horizon. You can't do it because that's so short. It's short-sighted that if you see beyond that, then you do find, that joy of the Lord, So yeah, I agree.
Well, when I think about the specific concept of God's sense of humor and creating humor and being able to find laughter and have it affect you. Some of the funniest things that happened to me in my whole life are the things that have embarrassed me or things that have happened that I never could have planned. Like if I'm trying to be funny, I'm very much not. Right. And actually, Nick, please share your story of having to do stand-up that one time. Yes, you have to.
Dang it.
Everybody, Nick did stand-up one time. Maybe I should just share it in my remembrance of you telling the story because you're so embarrassed by it. But it's proof. It is proof of divine sense of humor because So if you've ever listened to Nick do a talk at a camp, at a youth rally, at a theology of the body, is that when he speaks, it's like you're at a stand-up comedy show. There are moments where you're bent over and you are laughing so hard because his mannerisms, the way he can make these faces, is just everything about it. And it is truly a divine inspired humor that Nick has when he's giving talks. So anyways, someone noticed that years and years ago and asked Nick to go to this really hoity-toity like corporate dinner event, right? Like for their work.
Yeah, it was for the workers.
Okay, so they hired him not to do a talk, but just to do stand-up. Like, hey, he'll be the entertainment for the night. Nick will come do stand-up. So
did he know that he was just doing stand-up, or did he think he was
Yes.
giving a talk on like the immortality of the soul?
No, he agreed.
Good.
He agreed. He's like, all right, yeah. He's like, yeah, people laugh when I talk. I'll do a great job. So apparently he wrote some bits, and I don't know how many minutes of material you prepared, Nick. What was it? 10 minutes, 20? What was it?
No, I was supposed to have 20 or more. I can't remember, 20 or 25 minutes of comedy, and I had never. Yeah, so I had maybe 5, and it makes me sick in my stomach.
Is this available anywhere? Is this on YouTube or recorded anywhere?
No, it is not. This is before all that.
Please recount. The next 20 minutes is you. Go do it again.
No, nothing happened. Go ahead, Kevin. You can.
Well, the funniest part about it is that Nick's trying to deliver jokes, and apparently no one made a sound.
No one laughed.
There was
at all.
no laugh. There were just joke after joke, and it was just silence.
Oh man, brother, I'm feeling your pain. That's.
I can't look you in the eye. I still remember.
Oh my gosh, this is funny. This is funny now.
The burning heat. It was in a brick room of the spaghetti factory in Minneapolis.
Oh, I know that place.
Which is funny. The spaghetti factory. That's a funny thing.
That's the funny meatball.
When I got done, I promise you, there was no laughter. When I got done, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. That's all that I had. And the guy came up with the check, and he's like, here. I was like, no, don't. He's like, no, just take it. And I was like, oh.
You're like, pay me in spaghetti. I'll just take some spaghetti.
But I had never even done a talk at that point. I think this was back in college, and so like, I wasn't.
Gosh.
People thought I was funny, and I killed that. I was not.
Well, can I just say this, Nick? Can I just say this, that you have totally redeemed yourself? I mean, because you are one of the funniest Catholic lay apologists right now, like evangelists.
I've never listened to a talk and laughed harder than one of Nick's talks ever.
Well,
seriously, even like when you went for your COVID test and you're in your car, hilarious.
You saw that recently, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's your gift.
I tried a second one. I got a second COVID test. And
do you know how I know that God has gifted you with divine humor, Nick? Is that you can make an entire room full of middle schoolers who don't know their right hand from their left, who can barely complete a sentence. You can make them like laugh for minutes at a time, and they just it's not a dirty joke, it's not a potty joke. You can make middle schoolers just reduced to tears, and I just think that is a special talent.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
I would say that's literally a charism. Like that's a gift of the Holy Spirit right there. That's beyond. That's amazing. Many youth ministers across our land that would crave that gift and that charism.
Well, actually,
they connect at some level.
They covet it.
What you were saying at the beginning about I don't remember how you phrased it, but it just reminded like the idea that humor like kills ego. If you watch comedians, there are very few just straight up cocky. Like real arrogance. There's bluster on stage, and there are bits, but when it comes to like real arrogance, like I think I'm like comedy kills that. Like you can't have a false view of yourself and still be funny. I don't think, or it'd be tough because comedy kind of sees like just humor, not just comedy, but humor like sees more of the truth than maybe just like a somber face would. And it does. I think that's why you see so much self-deprecation, because it is funny to get past ego and to like, because when you see a comedian self-deprecate or any funny speaker or whatever, it's always because you identify like, yeah, me too. Like I'm that stupid. And
you just
something in that.
we just went real deep, because that's exactly the point, right? Like that there's a transparency and a humility that it's not about me, right? And the more I disappear, or even I become the subject of like how ridiculous this is, then that's when it like suddenly, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That you can literally let go of your ego. You can just dump the whole thing and say, I don't even care.
Yeah.
That you that it's funny, and that it gives permission to everybody else to say, I don't really matter that much either. I'm not that important. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And we need
There's
that
a guy
so much.
There's a guy that I think does that brilliantly right now. His name is Timothy Blue, and he has cerebral palsy, and he's
Josh
a stand-up
Blue.
con. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh. Josh Blue, and he
Josh
is
Blue.
so great. It's so his self-deprecation is like excellent.
Yeah,
Wow.
me and the
It's
kids were
great-
talking
it's a
about
great
him
word.
the other day, because he's, it's obvious he has cerebral palsy, and it's in his comedy, but it's not a crutch to him. Like, it's not like, this is my bit, I have CP, and so I can make people laugh because they feel bad for me. Like, he genuinely
Does not have crutches.
Yeah,
he can walk. sorry, I sorry, my bad.
No, that's a
I
beautiful
totally cut
thing.
you off. I cut you
No,
off.
that's a metaphorical miracle thing you just said there. Josh
He-
Blue, I've never heard. I don't.
Oh,
think I've
yeah,
ever heard
he's
of him.
great.
He's
And
not. He's not on. Is he on soulpancake.com? Soul Pancake, the YouTube channel.
No
Is he
idea.
I don't know.
Okay, because there's an amazing guy, young guy, who's got cerebral palsy, and he's on Soul Pancake, which is a great, human interest stories kind of thing. And he's really,
It
he's
could be
just
him.
like, he doesn't care. Yeah, Josh Blue. Okay.
The other guy is Zach Anner. Have you seen Zach Anner?
Mm-mm.
Oh, really? Oh, so he used to do Wednesday workouts, and he has, I don't know if his is CP, but he is permanently, and he does workout videos with like the headband, and like he did stair climb. He can't walk. His legs are emaciated. He did this. He's crawling up the stairs. At one point, his feet seized up, and he's like, I got dancing feet. They took him to a trampoline park and just threw him on the trampolines and bounced him. And he was but the whole time he's doing these horrible workouts, like he can't do a push-up or a jump. The whole time he's got funny lines, like inspirational, but funny. He'll like the whole video. So he'll say things like on the trampoline, when I remember him saying like, some people, you think your life boils down to Matthew McConaughey and Contact, but do not ever settle for Contact, because you know what? Interstellar came along and redeemed the whole thing, or whatever. Like, he has inspirational quotes that like they're not, but they are. So anyway, I don't know. I might have been glitching out just a second ago. You guys glitched
You
out.
did glitch a little
You
bit,
did
but
glitch.
even that was funny. Like,
That's
that
the
was
other
funny.
thing, though. When we first got back to America, I got asked to do a 6-week Lent parish mission from New York, from the closet in New York, our pots and pans closet. They asked me to do it live, and I would stream into Virginia, Minnesota, Father Brandon. And we tried it, and like the first week, I had prepped so hard, and I got done, and I could see them as a little screen or a little window on the screen. And we got done, and he called me later. He was like, yeah, so there were times for maybe like 60 seconds that you were just frozen. And then it would come back, and you were still in mid like emotion, and we just kind of let it happen. And I was like, oh, that's because then a delay really affects the humor of anything, or
Right,
any
like,
sort of
thanks
delay.
for letting me know an hour after
Yeah,
the
I
event.
know. Just
right?
text me while it's
great.
happening. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know where we're going.
Well,
we're not going anywhere, actually.
There it is. No, we're kind of on this sort of like flotsam jetsam, just drifting into the big mystery of humor. But
Okay.
yeah.
So why don't we
I quote though? How about I drop a quote? Can I do a quote right now?
Yes, do it.
Let's hear it.
All right, this is hilarious. Now, Dr. Peter Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Peter Kraft is an incredible gift to the 21st century and the 20th century. He's one of the greatest spiritual writers. He's taught over 45 years probably at Boston College, teaches philosophy, incredible spiritual author, dozens of books, like probably 80 books at this point. Here's what he says. This is about humor. Don't be more serious than God. God invented dog farts.
Oh my God.
God designed, wait for it. God designed your body's plumbing system. God designed an ostrich. If he didn't do it, he permitted a drunken angel to do it. Dr. Peter Craft. Like, seriously, like, can we go there? Let's talk about this divine sense of humor. Like, I mean, just farts, like in itself, like flatulation. I'm sorry, let's be more proper. Flatulation
There you go.
is hilarious. Like,
Right.
and God allows us to do
It
that.
is.
Like we are now higher than angels, and yet still we actually.
It is in it. I mean,
It's
I might as well
always funny.
tell my fart story.
Okay.
That would be an appropriate segue. Yeah, we're ready
You
for
better.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so embarrassing, but it's such a humiliating and humbling moment.
Dr. Peter Craft has given you permission.
I
Peter
had been at my job for literally 3 days, and we were at this really hoity-toity bar in downtown Minneapolis with a ton of people from corporate and also. So there was just like the big wigs were there, all of us new guys were there, and we were all just mingling, having discussions. And myself and this other gentleman who was from Chicago area started getting into a conversation about football. So he started talking about Jay Cutler, and he said, you know, I'm going to evangelize you on Jay Cutler. So he starts telling me about how much he loved Jay Cutler. And he gets done with his whole soapbox, and I kind of go, why are you trying to evangelize me on Jay Cutler? And this guy was really intense, and he goes, I never said that. I would never say, those are words that would never come out of my mouth. So he starts getting really, really mad, right? Because I had put words in his mouth, which he had said.
Like genuine
And
mad?
Yeah, he was mad.
Wow,
he was
that's
mad.
sad.
So now I had a drink or two. He had a drink or two. We start kind of yelling at each other. And people around us all just kind of got quiet in this really packed bar. And then I say, well, I was really just not in a good moment. I just go, well, how about I punch you in the effing face? And he's like, well, that would be a really bad idea. And then I accidentally farted, right? That's right. So it was the worst smelling fart.
You
Like,
did?
I farted.
my
I farted. Yep. We're yelling at each other, and I fart, and it was silent, and it was like the worst smell on earth. And he goes, "Ah, did you just fart?" And I go, I'm sorry, man. It was an accident. He's like, whatever, you did that on purpose. And we're just yelling, and everybody's just watching this happen. And he's like, I can't. And he has to walk away because, like, it's most of it. It ended the argument completely ended the argument.
Oh my god.
That may have saved you from jail. That
Yeah.
literally, that may have saved you from like time
Yeah.
in jail.
Yeah,
The
because
fart
Praise
Same
God,
with jail.
like a bar fight.
you're a
getting
smaller
arrested,
guy. I don't know.
losing
Yeah.
your job.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take him down? I mean,
No, there's no way there were going to be punches exchanged. There was just no way. But
you
we
did that on
were.
purpose. Okay. Well,
This
then
is
I'll
the
do
divine
mine.
sense of humor.
Ooh, sorry.
I'll do
I
mine.
couldn't even get through it. I'm sorry. Oh man, it was so bad.
My wife and I stayed at a church camp in Wisconsin years and years and years ago. And you stay, church camps are these rickety wooden things divided by, we were in one where like married couples could stay or whatever. So we were in our little rickety spider infested bed. And then there was a piece of plywood. And then there was some couple that I never saw, thank the Lord. And they got into bed. We were in bed. We're laying there. And I didn't think this was going to devolve into flatulence, but we were laying there.
It's Kevin's fault.
It's
My fault. My bad.
dead quiet.
Clearly.
It's the wilderness. We were right by the lake, so there's the sound of water. It's beautiful. And then you just hear this. You hear the, but then you hear the woman. So it went like, and we were like, what just happened? And then maybe 30 seconds later, and okay. So we're under the covers, just dying laughing. And so then and this is where it gets weird because it didn't stop all night.
It's already weird.
All night long, every 60 to 90 seconds, just
My Lord.
and it was like somebody was in such pain. And so we left the room and we slept out on a pontoon on the lake. And when we came back in the morning and got back into bed when like 5 a.m., we were laying there and we heard, and then we heard the woman say, "You just did that to get me out of bed." And I don't know. I feel like she passed gas all night in pain.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Clearly.
And then at the end of the night, the husband was mad and was like, and then she was mad about it, which seems
Yeah, maybe
relatively-
he like woke her up with his flatulence. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake her up with a
It's
loud
like, you know
one.
what? You kept me
Yeah.
up all night. I saved one all night. This is how our marriage is gonna go. So anyway, that's the only other flatulent story I have. And then Bill, you probably have a flatulent story to finish.
Hopefully,
I-
we've inspired one.
But the last one is this.
Yeah.
There's a man, a great man named Ben Frost, and he resides in Minnesota, and he's in Virginia, Minnesota right now. He's a really good guy, but he was at church one day at Cathedral in Duluth, Minnesota, and it's a big, gorgeous, and he was there, and he loudly passed gas during mass, and the person in front of them turned around to look at him, and he was like, and turned around to look like to blame the person behind him, and it was just this ancient old woman just staring right at him in the eye, just like
Get him like come hither stare.
yeah.
Trying to blame the old woman.
It was great because he was like, I don't know. Oh gosh, okay. So anyway, okay, Bill, what do you got to seal up the deal?
Well,
Tighten the
I-
sphincter.
you know, you just
Seal it right up.
you
Nope.
said that.
You can't.
You
Go ahead.
well, let me start off with I really didn't think we were gonna go to this place.
We weren't.
You know, like divine sense of humor,
Yep.
like raucous
Peter
flatulation.
Kraft. He's to blame.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's his fault.
It's actually my fault. I introduced
Yeah,
the
you.
quote.
It's your fault. You
Yeah.
found the quote and read it to
You
us.
could have left that out.
Gosh.
It's on your
I
shoulders.
don't have, believe it or not, I have never flatulated in my entire life. I just don't do it. It's not appropriate.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You're-
yeah.
you're-
The thought.
You're a good woman, Bill.
No. Listen, it transmogrifies into a thought and I release it through my mind
Yeah, Bill.
because it's
Oh.
just not appropriate. Yeah.
See, for
Actually,
you,
that's like-
yeah, Bill,
that's like
for
being
you,
that's like a closet Manichaean, right? Like the flesh is evil and this body's bad and flatulence is an
No,
effect of original sin.
no,
so
what
I
you're
reject
really
You might be
saying-
suppressing some feelings
yeah,
there.
you're saying you're so
Yeah.
holy that your flatulence comes out as good ideas.
Exactly.
Mm-mm.
Right. Or sort of like a smell of chrism at a confirmation, you know. That's how it goes. This is really I
No,
have
because
idea where
Bill,
I'm
now
going from
every time I smell chrism, I'm gonna be like, "Where's Bill? Is Bill here? That's weird."
Is this a test run? Are
But
we going to
dude-
start recording?
No,
Now?
this
Yeah,
is
I'm gonna
Can we
start
start-
recording next.
5, 4,
4.
3. Well, I literally don't have. I mean, I probably because flatulence happens so often in my life and in the life of my children that I just don't even. There's no recoverable areas because it's like there's no center because it's a center. You know, like,
But you guys, okay, to make it a little bit bigger here, do you guys, did you notice when your kids were really, really young, without you doing it or prompting anyway, they find flatulence and sexual organs hilarious?
Funny.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, that's
From
the
2 on.
Lord. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It just,
Yeah.
and you have to think to yourself, like, you know, Abraham and Sarah, you know, 4,000 years ago, like she rips one. It had to be hilarious. Like they had to laugh.
That's
Adam and
probably
Eve
why
were first
Isaac got his
discovered.
name.
Right. After, because,
Isaac means no.
yeah, no, we could do a deep dive into that. We could think about that. a
While
little
she was pregnant, she was farting a lot.
Well,
bit,
yeah,
which,
no,
as we know, is a reality.
So it was
I
tough.
really, I didn't think we'd put 10 minutes into this particular theme, but it's, I mean, I got a little endorphin rush here. It was pretty good. It's great.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
do this, and then I'm
It's
gonna,
very funny.
and then I'm gonna move us
I do have
into.
to,
Oh, go.
How about
Well, you-
I mean,
no.
we could get away from farting and
Let Bill. So whatever he was gonna say, let him say that, and then I'm gonna show you a
yeah,
picture.
I don't know. No, you know what? Okay, you know, we
Say
might
it.
want to jump to the picture because the story, it's it's
Does it
too
get
dark.
spiritual?
It's just, yeah. Well, no, not really.
Mm.
Go ahead.
And I don't want to do in all the thousands of viewers watching this episode down that path.
They've
'Cause
already
it may,
exited.
It may.
They've all left.
Listen, we've
That's
never
right, that's
had.
right.
more than
Let's go to
600
Nick
views
for the
and
weather. Go.
If we get more than that, they're leaving after what we just talked about. So
Yeah, I don't even know what's happening right now. But go ahead, Nick.
all right,
What's tomorrow looking like? Cloudy?
Are we
Good
glitched out?
forecast. What's happening?
Are we good? Can everybody hear me? Okay, so I moved
This
the
thing on?
TV today. I moved the TV, and
How large? 55-inch, 70-inch? How big?
no, just a little. I don't know this.
33.
And
33.
okay,
What are you doing?
I need to know how big it, because if it's a small 33-inch TV, who cares? Like Nick,
No,
why are we talking
listen,
about this? If
it's
it's
a
a
high
70-inch
sense-
put on
screen,
a shoe
like
to-
4K,
you know what? No,
that's big.
you don't know me. You don't know me. It's a Hisense smart TV that needs its software updated because it won't do it. It's not smart anymore. Anyway, I
Okay.
moved the TV, and behind it, I found this.
Nope.
Holy, what is that?
Nope.
A Tootsie Roll?
That
No,
is
what is
a-
that?
That is a
That's
turd.
Yep,
It's a baby Ruth.
we don't own a dog.
That is a child's turd behind.
I
your
should have
TV.
shared my story. I should have
This-
shared my story.
This is
Oh, that is what is happening.
this is a rock
Is
hard.
that a? I don't. What kind of podcast? I said yes to a
That-
second interview.
No, this
I
happened
am
3 hours
senior
ago.
lecturer for the Theology of the Body Institute. What
Not anymore.
in the world?
Not
am I
anymore,
doing
you're
on
not.
You
this-
guys, God did not have to make the digestive system. We
You're
could
right.
have been an enclosed system. So that's what makes me like 2% atheist, you guys. Like, why do we defecate? Like, why is it even a thing? And why did we lose Nick? And he's frozen. Oh, there he is.
There
Like,
is.
what is, there's just no need. The only thing I can think of is that I use it to escape from life and reality, to hide in the bathroom for 5 to 10 minutes at a time.
Whenever
Sometimes
creation
15.
happened, God
On your
created that moment because he knew dads were just going to need a little bit of time, a few thousand million years from then.
Can I
That was
interject some real. Oh, go ahead. That's okay. So
Just
you found some poop.
the picture was
Go ahead.
it's a rock hard piece of sausage, breakfast sausage that a child had hidden.
Oh,
You know what? Nick, this conversation is over.
Nope. It's breakfast sausage. That's all it is.
It's 12:16 Eastern Standard Time, AM. And I gotta. This is just
All right.
tomorrow
Let's move.
morning when I make
Let's move.
sausage for my kids.
We got a dog.
Let's go back to the poop real quick.
Yeah.
I was listening to an audiobook of C.S. Lewis's The Four Loves,
Mhm.
which this is interesting. The text of The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis is actually different. So if you listen to it, was actually him speaking. He was giving the lectures, and his booming, British accent was amazing. And he had some different little tweaks in The Four Loves, the text. But he said at one point, we can't be more spiritual than God, right? He loves matter. He made it. And he's like blood and guts and glands and sweat. He loves it. He made it. And he said he often descends all the way down in order to lift us all the way up. Like he's not scandalized by it.
Right.
So Kevin, to your point, like, why did he could have, it could have been like this, amorphous little, it could have been anything, but he decided to make it these visceral things, spit and blood and mucus and all this stuff. But he did it. And maybe the thing is to disarm us, right? Because, we know that the demons, Lucifer, they hate the flesh, they hate sexuality, they hate the body, they hate the one flesh union that brings forth all of us into life. And so all that stuff to them is just like, how could the God who's pure spirit go all the way down and do that, become a thing begotten in a bed, like, ew. But for us who have the divine sense of humor, the ew is amazing.
Yeah.
But we still have the ew. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think for like, especially for our age, which is becoming so detached, so digital, so like just touch screen and just download, we got to get our hands dirty again, not necessarily pick up
Sausage. It
poop
was just
behind your
sausage.
televisions. I
was just
saw, yeah.
sausage.
Well, we know. I don't know, Nick. But like, I think we have to return to that and see with divine sense of humor, like it's hilarious, and it's the whole self-deprecating and self-defecating, I guess. At this
Well,
point. See what I did there?
Good
How
job. That was
I see what you did.
Um,
Oh
well, I was
man,
gonna
that
say,
was Next level.
But it's to make us humble in order to pull us up into his greatness. Like he loves matter. He made it. C.S. Lewis. He loves it.
Well, and like I like what you were saying. Gosh, I guess it was in a text back and forth a while back, but just the idea of gratuitous beauty, gratuitous love, gratuitous humor, like the idea of something that no, it's not like laughter, joy, like getting together with a couple of people that you really care about and then just laughing together. Like it would seem gratuitous. There are things going on in the world that are serious, and our country
is important
down the toilet, and it can be like just cast aside, but that's kind of, everything is gratuitous for God. Like everything is just creation, and everything is like there's where God is, it just ends up being like, humans would be like, hey, slow down, like simmer down, pump your brakes. You don't need to be so overkill. But God he's just endless humor and endless goodness and endless love, even if it's undeserving, even if it's gratuitous. So yeah, I really like just that phrase, gratuitous humor or gratuitous laughter.
Well, that's a Chesterton thought, actually. Chesterton, it's an awesome, I think it's from the essay, Chesterton's essay, In Defense of Baby Worship, which is the greatest title of an essay ever, right? In Defense of Baby Worship, where he talks about, kids have this like unending vitality for life, and they're just like, do it again.
Yeah.
And the adult, Chesterton says, like, the adult reads it again for the 100th time, and they're like ready to die. And he says, we don't have the eternal appetite for infancy that they have. We have grown old. We have sinned and grown old. Our Father is younger than we. And you're like, whoa. He says, like, maybe God never gets bored. God makes every dandelion uniquely, separately, gratuitously. He has the sun rise every morning differently. And he's like, to the moon, do it again. To the sun, do it again. And he doesn't get bored.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But we're like, oh, I've already seen that sunrise. Back in 1978, I remember seeing a sunrise. I don't need to see it again. Every single one is unrepeatable. Like,
that's
you can't have
ridiculous that you just
It is
said
ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I didn't say it. Chesterton said it.
There was a commercial in the 80s when I don't know if you remember seeing it, and I can't remember what brand it was for, but it was a dad and his daughter sitting on a hill watching the sun go down. I don't know if
Lifesavers.
Was it
the
Lifesavers
commercial?
That's what it was. Yep.
Wow, Bill. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because it stood out in all of the childhood. You can remember that because it was sitting and you're watching it, and the dad's counting, 3, 2, 1, and the sun goes down and it's quiet, and then you hear his daughter's voice, and she just says, "Do it again, Daddy."
Do it again.
And that's like, it's just like, yeah, it's so good. Yeah. So that comes through. People recognize that.
And you see, like, you only get pumped up. You get the gratuitous joy when you realize that doesn't have to exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he doesn't have to do it differently every time. Yeah. There's been how many trillions and gazillions of sunrises and sunsets that are uniquely, meteorologically different every single time, atmospherically different there's no repeats. There's no like factory line. All right, let's kick out some more. We'll do a cycle.
I always come to like
the
idea that we never actually ever had to have the ability to laugh. That didn't have to be a thing. Like we could have still functioned as humans. Like that kicks me all the time. You'll see a moment where you're just like, one time my wife and I were fighting, and we were
time?
It was just once. It was a scary time, and we never went back to it. But we were no, that's not true. Two things. One, when we were first married, we were crazy at one point, and I have permission. My wife got so mad. She looked around, she grabbed a cupboard door and pulled it off the hinges and threw it across the room. Like, and she will tell people like, oh, the nails were old. No, they weren't. She was just a psychopath.
You had just put that in that day.
Yeah. But anyway, wait, shoot. There's a reason. What were we just saying? There's a reason I was
something
talking about.
Amazing. Yeah, I knew we were going to do this.
Shoot. No. This is good. Go back. What were we just saying, Kevin?
A thing concerning something about something. That's where we were.
It was my wife. What did you just say? The deep point you said.
Me or Kevin?
Yeah. we'll cut this pause out, but yeah.
I'm still thinking about sunrises, you guys. I don't know.
No, we didn't need to. No. Yeah. So because one time we were in the middle of a fight and
There you
my
go.
wife, and we were mad at each other. And I had said
Right.
something and my wife said, well, I am shocked that, I said, well, I am shocked and appalled. And we both just started laughing and it was done. We were like, the argument was over because there was this moment of like, just I don't know, it was humor for
Transparency.
some reason and it just diffused everything. Like because it took you out of that seriousness and was just like, but this is nothing, this is piffle.
Isn't that like a main rule of improv, or like affirm and add?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, we've come full
You're
circle.
improving.
good.
Speaking
that's
of sunrises, this is this morning.
What? Look at that glory.
Lake Superior this morning.
Dang, that's like benediction right there. The
I sent
monster's
it.
sinking.
I sent it to my siblings, and my sister responded, "Do you live on Tatooine?"
There's two of them. That's awesome.
Force is strong with you. Wow,
Yeah, no,
that's
I gotta
beautiful.
say the sunrises in Duluth, we lived up on the hill, and when you come down on certain mornings, you're above the fog, and it looks like an ocean of just beauty with the sun coming out. It's amazing. Yeah, Duluth has.
Yeah. When Bill brought that up, I just thought that was so cool. Like everyone is actually different, and you only get to see it that one time.
My pastor in
It's unrepeatable.
We were first married in Minneapolis. My pastor, his dad was like a PhD in philosophy or some sort of, I don't remember. He was a very staunch atheist. And he would talk about how his dad was on a cruise and saw the sun come up and said, I believe. Like there was like the force of whatever happened in just a sunset just changed him. Like, and not that you could bank on that for everybody, but it was just
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Chris Stefanik's wife, I worked with him on the Rise. You remember the Rise program for men?
Yep, it was awesome.
Chris Stefanik's wife, Natalie, I think it is. She had an experience of like this deep, dark dive into atheism and just no personal God, no faith. And she's sitting on a beach. I think it's like on one of the Hawaiian Islands, and she's young and she's just like drifting. I think, just kind of in a place where she's just kind of feeling messed up, but she's disconnected. And she's sitting there, and the beauty, maybe it was a sunset, it just so hit her. She literally said, thank you. And then she caught herself. She's like, who am I thanking right now?
Yeah.
Like it just welled up. It just came out of her like, thank you. Like, who am I talking to? But it started the path of conversion and a return to Christianity. Is that amazing?
It's crazy.
By beauty, by pure, gratuitous, superfluous beauty that didn't need to, by one sunset.
Yeah. The
awesome.
heavens
It's
declare,
awesome.
The heavens
I know,
declare.
right? That's right. That's right.
Okay. All right. What do we got? Let's get some funny. Kevin, you have something, you have a cheat sheet. What do you have in front of you?
Well, I mean, this might not be funny to other people at all. I think it's amazing. And I went to a private school, so we had a uniform every day.
That is
and when
hilarious.
I was in high school, my brother, who was 10 years younger than me, we shared a bedroom. We had a bunk bed. Bunk beds are awesome. They are the source of so many fun times and pillow fights and blanket wars. So we had a bunk bed. I slept on the bottom. He slept on the top. And he had this weird thing when he was a kid of night sleepwalking with his eyes wide open. And he would wander into the hallway, like repeating phrases like a possessed boy. And we would, direct him back to his bed, or eventually like he'd wake up enough and we'd like, our go-to is like, Victor, go to the bathroom. Like we like finally like the thing that would finally wake him up the rest of the way was like going to the bathroom and just going to the bathroom and going to bed. One night I am a junior in high school in the dead of sleep. And all of a sudden my dream, I have a lot of vivid dreams that I remember like from decades ago, but this one particular dream, I all of a sudden am transported to a waterfall, and I hear it pouring, and then it changes to a faucet, and there's a faucet pouring, and I can hear it, not like in a dream, but I hear it in real life. And then I'm getting wet, and I'm like, oh my God. And it wakes me up in the dead of night, and I sit up, and there's my 7-year-old brother standing over me with his pants to the floor, peeing on me, just peeing on me. And I go, what are you doing? And he just
Why?
goes, and I direct him to the bathroom, and I'm aiming him, and we get to the door of the bathroom, and he stops being. It's all gone at that point.
That's awesome.
And
This is definitely a PG-13.
Yeah,
This is
I'll have
like
to-
no, it is.
crude,
It is. And I
with crude. What was it? What do they call it? Toilet humor? Like
Yeah,
some movies have a
potty
little thing.
potty
like
talk.
Potty,
Potty
yeah,
talk.
potty humor.
Yeah,
I
talking
only
potty.
Wow.
I only
That
mentioned the
is so
private school
disturbing.
part though. The private school part, I only mentioned it because he peed all over I was a lazy dude. So my school uniform was on my bed. So he had peed all over that.
Nice.
So we had to write a note to the school of why I was out of uniform the next day.
Wow.
And the school secretary read it. She's like, all right. And just gives me the note back.
Don't let it happen again.
Yep.
That's really
Oh, we lost Bill.
there's I'm back. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Here am I.
Victor actually just became a subscriber, so he'll hear that story.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Cool.
I have a small one. I have a big one that I'm saving for the end whenever we're close to done. But I have a small one. When my wife and I tried to hike the Appalachian Trail, we came back from China. Our marriage was in a really tough state, and we were struggling with everything. We're like, we just need to get away. And we thought the best getaway would be to hike for 4 months. And so we had never hiked ever. So we started in Maine, and we hiked for 10 days and quit. And there's a ton of fun stories from there. But we had arrived in Maine, and we had to get to the park early, like 4 a.m. And we didn't have a car. So you have to rent a car from the hotel. And we were in Bangor, Maine. And
You went to Baxter State Park, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, we hiked
to the top of the
first day
Mount
of our
Katahdin?
entire hike was Mount
Are you
Katahdin.
insane? You
No.
did Mount Katahdin. That's the terminus of the Appalachian Trail.
That's day
I
one
can't
when
believe-
you're late in the year and you have to hike
You literally
south.
did the hardest hike on day one, and
We
you
did.
hadn't hiked before.
We did, and it killed
Nick,
us.
You just raised like levels in my mind.
We did. There's so many false summits. We didn't know what that was. A false summit.
The tableland. Yeah, you hit the tableland, and it's just like, where's the okay?
Maybe those are terms we should have known, because
Yes,
we
the
were
tableland.
like, oh, we're here. No, we're not, and it's all day, like all the way up.
Please tell me, Nick, that you didn't do the Knife's Edge Trail, which is literally like a yard wide. They say if there's any breeze, don't take the Knife's Edge.
Really?
Trail.
No, we did. I don't know. We lived. I don't know.
You guys are crazy.
But we got in the cab
anyway,
that
sorry.
morning, and the woman gets in the car and she's like, welcome to Bangor, or however they talk. Actually, all they say, the only thing I noticed different, they sound Australia when they say peanut butter. We were in the restaurant that night, and we're like, what kind of, something about toast. And they're like, well, you could get it with peanut butter. We're like, what? Yeah, you could have some toast with peanut butter. And we're like, oh,
Right, where am I?
This is stupid. So anyway, we're in the cab, and the woman, we're like, it was like 4 a.m. and we're like, oh gosh, the sun's starting to come up. And the woman was like, yeah, it's the weirdest thing that the sun comes up at all different times up here. We don't even know sometimes what day it's coming up. Sometimes it's at 4 a.m. Sometimes it's at 5. And Jason was
He's
like,
messing with you.
I think that the sunlight is like the most reliable thing out there, actually, like the rising, setting of the sun. But this woman was serious. She was like, it's weird. Sometimes it's up. I'm just like, no, it wasn't. So anyway, that stood out to us because we were like, that's a crazy person, or she hated us. But either way. All right, next, somebody's got something. Just another one.
Well, I mean, this is on the divine sense of humor, but I don't know if this is directly connected, but I've been keeping a running list of hilarious things my kids have said. And let me just start with the first one that was literally said like 2 days ago, and I'm not proud of it. COVID-19, quarantines, lockdown. I mean, people talking about the quarantine 15 pounds they put on. I think I put on like 30. Yeah. So my 5-year-old Kagan the other day, he sits on my lap, and I'm doing my morning prayer in the big chair, and he comes over and he's like, your belly is like Santa's. And then he says, I think I feel some cake in there. Like, thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm gonna start like walking. I'm gonna walk 10 miles today. Thanks a lot, Kagan.
I feel cake in there. That's good.
I think I feel some cake in there. And you remember, like, all kids have like a Brooklyn accent until they're like 7.
They do. I feel cake
Hilarious.
in there.
Here's a good one from Kagan. Kagan's really like, I keep a list of all 4 of my kids, like their amazing insights and hilarious comments that they make. Kagan is literally like top of the list right now. When you're 5, you're funny. Like just put it out there. When you're 5, you're funny. So he says, out of nowhere. And usually this happens like between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. in the morning. He just wakes up, crawls in. Dad, when I'm wearing baggy clothes, call me sly. And when I'm wearing clothes that fit tight, call me slick. I'm like, what? Okay. What dream did what?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's gold.
Okay,
What
so when
what
they're
is happening
baggy,
in your mind, your 5-year-old mind? Yeah. So when I'm
Yeah.
wearing baggy clothes, call me sly.
Call me
When I'm wearing
sly.
tight clothes, call me slick.
Awesome.
Lake.
I'm just trying to think like what cartoon did we watch last night? I
Where
don't
did
even
that come
remember
from?
What you're talking about.
That's awesome.
He this was a week before Father's Day last like June, I guess. And he's like, Father's Day is coming up. Rebecca's like, Daddy's Day, Father's Day is coming. He's like, when is it Kids Day? I'm like, dude,
That's deep.
I'm like, yeah, but I'm like
Every
every day.
day.
Every
Yes.
day is Kids Day. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, Nick. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just goes on, but I don't want to monopolize. There's so many good things.
You can monopolize.
Yeah.
Okay, let me monopolize. Seth, when he was about 8, and this is profound. Dad, mosquitoes are like the devil split into a million pieces.
That's awesome.
Like, that's
Minnesota.
profound. I mean, that's speculative theology, but that is spot on.
It's speculative theology.
Okay.
Did you tell him that in the moment? Like, well, son,
I
that's
probably did.
speculative theology. I
Yeah,
mean,
I probably did.
magisterium hasn't really weighed in on that.
Yeah, I
so.
probably took him down that road, and then I was like, okay, I'll make you a pancake. It's fine.
Let's eat some cake.
Hagen, 6 a.m. He's 3 years old. He comes down. I'm in my prayer chair, doing my morning prayer. Danny, did you kill today's dragons? I was like, yes, with my prayer. And then he says, if you swing your rosary around, you can kill the dragons.
Nice.
Right?
Dang, yo.
I mean, seriously, this is why I write it down.
Yeah.
Do you guys keep your kids' stuff down? Do you like write it down somewhere? Try to keep a.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
I wish I did, man.
Start right now.
Because they are the proof. They're the proof of God's divine humor.
They are, because I'm not putting that in them. It comes out of them.
And he just gave them to us. Like, you're gonna to hear and know things about your kids that no one else ever will. And it's like, it's just for you and your wife. Like, it's just for you guys.
That's right.
And like, you can tell other people, and other people's like, oh, that's really funny. But there's no way other people can understand it the way that it hits you.
That's right. That's
it's epic.
I'm trying to think.
It is epic. I mean,
I have in Evernote, I have a document or a folder called Remember This. And then I have each of my kids. And so then just because I have a terrible memory, my recall is so short.
Same. This is Evernote, by the way. I'm literally reading from Evernote.
That's great.
Were you really?
That's great.
So my daughter Esther, she has this running thing we're kind of scared of because it's like in a movie where like everybody's kind of like we're laughing and somebody says, "Oh, well, you did this," and somebody's like, "Oh, you did that," and then Esther will be like, "You did this," and everybody like, "Oh, you're going to hell." Like, and Esther is the sweetest thing. And so she has these 3 horrible statements that live in infamy in our family.
Oh boy, here
so
we go.
We're talking like one day, it was all at the dinner table and we were talking about something. We're like, "Oh, well, Dad did this." And everybody laughs. And then somebody else was like, "Well, he did this." And Christian was the second one. Christian is one of our adopted kids. And Christian was like, "You did this." And then Esther's like, "You don't even know your real dad." And like, we're like,
that's painful.
So on one level, it hurts because they are all 3 adopted. But the bigger level is that Esther's the only one of our adopted kids who does know her real dad. So she was just being a jerk. Yeah. But
she's just being a jerk.
She didn't even know it was mean. She was like, "Wow, why is everybody quiet?" One time we were talking about like things that happened. And we were like, "Yeah." And then he fell down. And then Davey was like, "Yeah." And then this happened. And Esther said, "And then Christian killed himself."
Oh,
and I know. And everybody's like, "Oh, no. No, Esther, honey. Oh, we love you.
Get those pulled words back in your mouth.
What's going on in your heart?" And she was like, "Well, no, because in Minecraft the other day, he like fell off a cliff and killed." We're like, okay. Because that makes sense. You need context, you idiot. And then
flesh it out a little bit.
The last one she did was recently. We were at the table and we were joking, and I said something like, yeah, well, I like to make big goals. And then Esther said, Daddy said I like to make big goals, but you never get there.
Dude, you are living your purgatory now. I can see it so clearly.
He's zinging
like,
you, man.
Why? How do you know how to go to the heart so bad? So good.
Gosh, better purgatory now than later.
Yeah,
seriously.
That's what I'm trying.
I'm impressed.
Seriously, I don't even know.
That is some serious dark comedy. That's some slams, man.
In the middle of the night, one time, Hudson screamed out, blood curdling, screams in the night, and then another scream. And then he said, where'd that donkey go? And we're like, why were you so scared of that donkey, man? Like, what happened? Like, so anyway,
gosh.
That's what I got written.
I don't even know.
Oh, man. The one that oh, go ahead.
No. I'm not. You go.
I was just thinking the one that makes so our 2-year-old is the one who cracks me up the most. She has perfection, like her R's are perfect at this point.
Wow,
it's weird. It's weird. Yeah. And she's getting her humor from her brothers. And so like when she thinks nobody's listening or watching, she just blurts stuff out. She's sitting down last night to the dinner table and getting in her high chair. And she's just like, butt crack, butt crack, butt crack. Just repeats it. And the other night, my wife tries so hard to put her to bed in a peaceable way. And she sometimes, of course, like a 2-year-old, isn't having it. But it was like looking at a 15-year-old in a 2-year-old's body, because she was standing in her crib screaming, and she's throwing stuff out of her crib, and she's just screaming at my wife's face. And then at one point, my finally was like, what do you want? And she looks up and she goes, nothing. And then my wife just shut the door and walked away. Just nothing.
It's brutal.
It's so funny though. It's so funny.
It is funny, but it's painful as all get out. It's like God's scalpel carving out our innards. Just like
Hudson walked up to me 2 days ago, all sweet. He's this little blonde curls, and he walked up and he whispered in my ear and he went, "You're nothing." And I was like, what is going on?
Telling you, they're the secret agents of the Holy Spirit. The Lord is using them to shape us into saints.
Well, I asked him, I was like, Hudson, where did you even hear to talk? Who said that? Did somebody say that to you? And he said, no, in the video, the cartoon I watched about David and Goliath yelled at the Philistines, "You're nothing." And I'm like, okay, so context again, like don't walk up to somebody and whisper in their ear, "You're nothing." Like, just so dumb.
They just try stuff out, and that's
they
their.
do. Yep. They're just like, let me see if this sticks.
Well, and they do. They see what works and what what hits home. And actually, I read it on Art of Manliness years ago. They did an article on
great website.
Really good website. The deep need for dads to wrestle with their kids. And they talked about the idea that because in wrestling always tends towards excess. Like you start wrestling and you wrestle more. And somebody like that used to happen all the time in college in our dorm. Like guys would start to wrestle, and then before you knew it, they're swearing at each other and they're mad. So anyway, they were saying like the need that a dad to wrestle with their sons and daughters, like to wrestle with them, because they'll come to the point where they're like, they just want to punch, or they're reaching for, like Davey ran for a knife one time. And you're like, oh, so no, that's the line. And how like dads are there to like in that wrestling to just show, okay, you crossed the line. And you can see it with kids on everything. They'll say a word and they'll be waiting like butt crack, butt crack, butt crack. They'll just be waiting to see like, okay, is this all right? Where are my boundaries? Because I need to know them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just neat to see that happen, even in humor, because kids they'll tell a joke that they think is funny. And you'll be like, that cut me to the quick. Like so that wasn't funny at all. And yeah, so I think that bears out. Yeah.
That's really good. And it brings us all the way back to Chesterton talking about children needing fences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
True.
That's actually my son Leo was trying to listen, and he didn't know I was listening because we let them kind of. I think other parents would judge us for how loose we are with our kids' bedtime a little bit, but we let them all like be together for a while in the dark in the bedroom, and sometimes they're getting a little wild. And Leo decides to tell his siblings a story last night, and this is the entire story. One time, Jesus was walking along, and he pooped his pants, but it was actually John.
The end.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
What the?
It's like one of those kids' books.
I love. We just came full circle back to defecation. Well played, Kevin. But
Way to go, man.
hilarious. But you know what I love about that? It's about Jesus.
Yeah.
It's about.
Yeah.
Let me
And
take this thing you keep telling me about the Lord, and let me just bring it to my level.
Well, and he knew
Poop.
enough to be like, but in the end, it wasn't. I didn't talk about Jesus pooing. It was John. It wasn't even Jesus. Can you believe that? Can you believe it wasn't Jesus?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's so good. That's pretty awesome,
It's so
actually.
hilarious.
We can actually see that in his telling of the story. He was like, there is a line you probably don't talk. I mean, we knew he did, but we don't talk about Jesus doing that because it was John, and John always gets the bad rap.
Exactly.
I was very proud of him. His parents weren't in the room, and he deferred away from the Lord.
Away from blasphemy. That's awesome.
You know, it is funny though. Let's actually pause and tarry a moment here, because I literally had this thought 2 days ago. I was doing my morning prayer, and I just came off this. We had an amazing week last week. I taught a 5-day course on the way of beauty, theology of the body, and art. We had over 60 students from around the country. It was amazing. But we were talking about like the raw, visceral, real, and how God speaks through everything. There's nothing that's outside of his, outside of his palette. Like every color is on there, everything, including all the stuff we just talked about in this podcast tonight. But but the thought hit me, like Jesus had dirt under his fingernails. Like the incarnate Son of God, the second person of the Blessed Trinity, had bad hair days, right? He probably did this. He went like this.
Yeah.
He flatulated.
Yeah.
He urinated. He defecated. Now again, you don't like talk this on a Sunday homily at like the 11 o'clock mass. But to say those words, like the Son of the living God, the eternal Son of the living God, did those things. If we're not comfortable saying it, if we can't say it, there's something in us. It's not him.
Right.
Again, God loves matter. He made it. Like he fashioned it all. He's got the divine sense of humor. He can see through it all. If we can't come to some acceptance, like he burped, his stomach grumbled, he was hungry, he laughed. Like that's amazing. To think about the second person of the Blessed Trinity, the eternal Son of God, doing the basic stuff that we do that we think is hilarious, like toots, all of it. He did it. And it literally takes the ordinary, makes it extraordinary.
Yeah.
And we should be able to laugh. It frees us in a way,
Laughter does for you.
It's freeing. And because it's self-deprecating, as we've been talking about, I disappear in the laugh. When you're laughing, you're not thinking about is my hair nice? Like, is everybody, am I okay right now? You don't care. You're laughing. And that's the secret of life. Like the secret of, Peter Craig says this, the only path to selfless joy, the only path to joy is selfless love. Like just get rid of yourself, forget yourself. All of our sin comes about when we're thinking about ourselves all the time. Just forget about yourself. You're not that important in a sense. You're not that big a deal. Yeah, you are nothing. I love that.
Yeah, that's
let it go, and then you realize everything, and everything is yours.
Because
everything is yours.
When a spotlight's on yourself, there's this overimportance, and as soon as it gets moved away, and like in concerts when they turn the house lights on and you can see all the crowd, all of a sudden it's not just the band. Like it puts it into the actual perspective. It's not just because there's a certain the pronoun I. We live that. It's I. In God, there's an aspect of that God made. Like you do live from your I, and and there, it is overcoming that, but you are you, and that's good. And so the idea of like getting that spotlight out, and suddenly it puts it all in the, oh wow, there's, you know, there's 7,000 of it. Oh my gosh. Then like it kind of does take it out from
You're
there. I've
here
thought
too.
about, as a speaker, I've thought about that because there have been times where, you know, I maybe everybody has this, I don't know if it's just me, but I have a really dry nose. And so like sometimes like flakes of things will come out of my nose while I'm talking. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I've tried.
It's still weird though.
Yeah, totally weird. Creepy.
So
Kind of weird.
there have been times when I've thought like, out of the hundreds of times Jesus spoke, at some point he was probably like, you know what? And it just, something came out of his nose. And like, instead of this, he had to be like, I'm sorry. Is it? Okay. So it's like a
Is there
shepherd.
anything in there?
You know,
Is there anything in there?
yeah, you have falafel in your teeth, Savior. And you're like, oh, why didn't that happen once? I was talking to a bunch of people,
Yeah, you were
and I
supposed
got
to
home
tell
and I
me,
looked
right?
in the mirror and I had 3 pieces of spinach. And for an hour, I had been talking to people who could call me their friends, and they didn't tell me about it. I was like, you. So anyway, yes, like Jesus.
I think I was there.
Yeah,
You
it's
might
Kevin's
have
fault.
Sorry.
Again.
Again. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So I agree. I think the idea of becoming incarnate, the incarnation with a capital I seems, it's like, oh, it's a point of faith. It's yeah, he did it so he could die on the cross physically and all the salvation and propitiation, all this. But like, well, no, but also he was hungry and maybe he had to resist being hangry. And, you know, I'll bet there was a time when he was little and he like flatulated and he was like, and Mary was like, we don't like. That had to have happened,
or she actually laughed out
or
loud.
she laughed at out loud. It was like,
I think she probably laughed. Yeah,
Or she just looked at him and went, "Gross."
Yeah, men.
But seriously, all of this, I think I love this stuff, and boy have we ranged all over. But yeah, I mean, the main point of humor, I think, is again, like uncoupling yourself from yourself, which is what heaven's going to be, right? Heaven's going to be hilarious. I think we're going to laugh constantly, like for all eternity.
Yeah.
Because we'll be able to see through things. And we're going to, the funniest thing probably in heaven is going to be how serious we took ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, look at what I did back in 1988. Like, that was ridiculous when I had that pimple and I thought it was like the whole world was looking at me and it was like,
yeah,
what?
Or when I got dumped, or when this or that happened, or well, even
like
C.S.
how
Lewis talks
irrelevant.
about that and when he's talking about war, and he's talking about 2 soldiers in the trench, and they're in a fight. They're opposite sides, and one kills the other one, and in doing so, the other one gets killed. And he just talks about how C.S. Lewis says, I can completely imagine that the second that they both pass into the afterlife, they just start laughing about it because they're like, "What are we doing? Like, what was that all about?"
That is just brilliant.
Oh, it's so good because he could.
What
again,
book is that in?
Oh, I'll find it for you. My recall is horrible, but
yes, you did share that earlier. You're right.
It might be in Mere Christianity. I want to say Mere Christianity,
Footnote.
but I'm not positive.
Footnote.
I'll put it in the description at the bottom.
Yes. But that's it, though. That's it.
Just that idea, because we would say like, no war, which again, yes, but like no killing, no any of that. But also, like, just after the fact, there's just this aspect of like, but it was bigger all the time, and you guys were very important. Oh, you killed yourselves over it. Okay, well, but come on in, because now, and actually, somebody I was talking to today, the fact that Jesus said, "Father, forgive them; they don't know what they do." Like that, I think that's everything.
I love that line.
Like, because you're like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing. I don't know. And in some places, it's just laughable. It's like watching a kid try to build Legos. It's just like, you don't know.
Yeah,
what
which
you're doing.
Is wild. Like this is the mind-blowing like paradigm shift of ourselves taking ourselves so seriously. Mm-hmm. And there are horrific, hellish, demonic things. Absolutely. Genocide, like dictatorships, communism killing like millions of people. It's terrible. But the Native American, like there's this great expression, Native American spirituality, like it's the breath of a buffalo in winter. It passes so quick. It's like poof. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's not really like, even just in the past couple of weeks with the Capitol and the rioting and all the fighting and the deep state and all this, it's like, in 10,000 years, it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
We're going to crack up at like how ridiculously serious we were.
Yeah.
about something that was really not that important in the grand scheme of things. Did you love your neighbor?
Yeah.
Right. Did you thank God for today? Right.
Did you do justly? Did you walk humbly? And did you
Right.
love mercy? Did you do those
Right.
things?
Right. Were you kind to the person right in front of you?
Yeah.
Did you say hi? Did you say hello? How you doing? How's your day? Because literally that in the grand scheme, that's all that matters.
There's this old guy on TikTok, John the Credit Guy. He's on TikTok. He has an account. He's this old man with this long white beard and like stringy white hair. And I don't know how he's surviving, but every day, amongst the other TikToks that he does, every day he says this Norse greeting every morning. And he records it every morning and sends it out on TikTok every morning.
Wow.
And I have a friend who's going through a really, really hard time. And I'll play him now so you can see him. Let's see if we can do this. I have one more story that I'm gonna tell, but
Right, you have a big finish, right?
That's the guy. Okay.
He looks awesome. He looks like John Muir, the Scottish naturalist. I love it.
Yeah, he does look like John Muir. All right, here we go. So he says this. Let's see, we'll turn it up. Every morning he says this.
Good morning. We live to fight another day. We cheated death once more, you and I. You're here for a reason. Do it.
He does that every morning.
Dang.
I know.
It's awesome. I need to send it to my dad. That's my dad right there. That dude is my
cheated
dad.
death once again, you and I. It's just crazy. Every day he
Let's
does
do it.
And sometimes he'll say like, and he'll just start by laughing and be like, "It is good to see you again." And then he'll do his thing. It's so great. It's so encouraging. And I have a friend who's going through a very bad time. And I sent that to him today because I'm just like, no, you made it. You're here and it's worth it. And yeah, so that guy popped in.
Dang.
Yeah, he's
Nick,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I know you have your big story to finish, and I can't wait to hear it. But I just got to share, like, my life, my dad, and I shared this probably in the last episode, but like just the importance of my dad in my life. And the fact that he got destroyed by a double stroke, divorce, like almost losing his home, trying to raise two boys, and just, but he always had a sense of humor. And my dad is that guy, by the way. Every day he wakes up, he's like, "Thank God, another day. I'm in a state of grace, I think, and I got toilet paper. What else do I need?"
That's awesome.
Like, that's my dad. Like, he was always just this simple guy who, I woke up, thank God. And that's it, man. That's the sense of, because the sense of humor, the divine sense of humor is not just like I get jokes.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I get everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. There's a certain aspect to like, no, I get everything. No, I get this. I get what you're saying. All the anger and the vitriol going on. Like, oh, I get it.
That's real.
I get mad. I have my own issues I'm concerned about in our culture and everything. But it's not only that, it's more than that. And in every issue that people argue about and fight about, you can say, no, I get that. I do get that. I feel it. I'm human with you. I have all the same issues as you do, probably more, but as well, like it's like the but and like, yeah, that's true. But, and this is true as well. And you can't exclude the truth that actually it's not diminishing anything to find joy and to find laughter in anything. Like, and you see, my wife and I's first date, when we were like the first time we ever hung out, just her and I alone, we went to a Holocaust movie. We went to Life is Beautiful. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Oh my gosh.
That movie.
That movie.
Is this the story? This is the
no,
story?
This is not the story, but this is just, this is how our relationship started, was like, no, this is the foot we started on. We went to a Holocaust movie, and you come out of it, that movie, you come out of it like, just because, and I love, we watched it again recently, about 6 months ago, as Bernini, is it Bernini? That's his last name, right? Anyway, as he's being led to be shot in the head, he does like the goose step, and he's doing it for his kid who he knows is watching. Right. And the last seconds of his life, he's just like bringing the humor, because it's more real than the fact that he's about to die. More real is that he wants to bring joy to his kid. You're just like, oh my gosh, that's more real than him getting a bullet to the head. what he does just
Exactly.
before. It's so
And
good. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And what does the kid say when he sees the tank roll around the corner? We won.
Yeah.
We won.
It's so crazy.
And they did win.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, that's that quote from there's this amazing documentary on Anne Frank, and there's Holocaust survivors. There's a woman named Sarah. They survived the Holocaust, right? And they're like, how did you do it? How did you do it? We sang every song we knew. We recited poems. We traded cooking recipes.
Yeah.
This was the resistance. This was the resistance. I'm like, what? It's laughter, it's joy, it's beauty, it's poetry, it's the joke, and that's what destroys it. Communism, there's another thinker that says communism quakes before the power of a play, of a poem.
Yeah.
Basically of a joke.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It sees through things.
Yeah. That's Fulton Sheen. That's back to the beginning. That's what comedy or humor, not just comedy, but humor sees through things. And that's why actually I found Kevin and I have talked about this a lot in the last 2 years. Some of the most honest people in the public square, if not the most honest people in the public square, are comedians.
They're who I seek out the most right now.
Yeah. And those are the ones who,
oh my gosh,
who in the midst of, not even that I don't identify with their worldview or their ideas of anything.
Sure.
But they're in these moments on stage where they're tapping into truth with their words in a way that nobody else that you see does. And it's just this, it's an oddly transcendent thing to fundamentally disagree with somebody who's on stage and still be dying with laughter at how good it is. Like it's just, it speaks to something else, like something like viscerally something else, something unifying. And the best comedians are the ones who they don't spend their time ragging on politics. They point out lies in politics, but they do it in such a way that you're just like, like, and they they do it about Christians, about non-Christians, about left, right, all of it. It's just better than not laughing. Laughing is better than not laughing. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, they've totally got the sacramental vision. They see through, they get the joke. They don't take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
But how sad, and I don't want to end on this note, but how sad that it's the comedians right now who are feeling constrained.
Yeah.
Who are feeling the stricture, like, I can't make jokes anymore.
Yeah.
Because why? Because you people are too serious.
Yeah.
You don't get the joke that it's all gratuitous. God is love. And what are we worried about? Like, that's the scary part, is that they feel like, they've been hijacked or something.
Well, and that's the thing. There's such a self-importance that I know a lot of comedians won't do college campuses anymore because they're just like, no, nobody laughs. You get canceled, you get screamed at, you get, death threats and stuff. But that's the beauty of, actually, it's weird. It's an odd phenomenon that the jester, like the comedian's kind of like the court jester of a society,
right?
That the comedians are the ones who, at least in my sphere, again, it's in my one sphere, but in my sphere of intake of information, it's the comedians who have been like, nope, I won't. If I lose my career, fine, but I'm going to tell this joke because it is fundamentally funny. And you see the people in crowds who in their lifestyle, they fundamentally disagree with the joke, but they'll come up to the comedian afterward and be like, that was so good. That was so good, because there's something better about it. And I don't know how far it goes, but because we are in these bodies, that when you find that joy, there has to be, in the moment where you're laughing and your head's back and you're like not thinking about anything else, there has to be a moment where you're connected to God in that. Not that it's salvific or not that it, but it has to be more real than whatever sadness is waiting outside the door.
I think Nick, it's beatific. That's what it is.
Right,
it's beatific.
Right, yeah.
It's the bliss. What is bliss? What is heaven? I lose myself and find myself.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not self-conscious anymore. I mean, the saddest thing in the world is when our kids hit the age of 7 or 8 and they become self-conscious, and you're like, crap.
Yeah.
I'm right. I don't want you to be self-conscious. It's not worth it. Don't worry about the pimple and the way your hair is and the way you're. Stop thinking about that, because it's not going to be beatific. The beatific vision is, I'm not looking in a mirror anymore. I just see you, and I see me in you, and that's joy, total, absolute joy.
Yeah.
when I forget myself. Yeah.
I wonder if there's something we'll find out, and this is just speculation. You'll find out if there's some reason that our heads go back and look up when we laugh, like full-heartedly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
there's the jokes where you're like, oh, that was like some of the poo jokes where we're like,
Right.
But then there's the
And
other
we've had
jokes
several.
where you're lost in it and your head's back, and it's just like, I can't
Yes.
believe it. Yeah, there's
That's the
probably
vertical.
something to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the vertical.
So, Kevin, do you have anything else to say? Do you have something to say? You've been sitting here.
The only thing I was thinking of was I remember there was I went to a huge Catholic conference where they brought in a non-Catholic comedian to do the show,
Mm-hmm.
which was bold and for him. And he made a joke about aspergillums, the holy water stick that you sprinkle at church, and he used the microphone to pretend to sprinkle all of us with holy water. And I'll never forget 10,000 people in a room, Catholic, dying in laughter as he's making fun of us.
Yeah.
Like it was so funny. It was so funny. And he was like kneeling and standing and sprinkling us with holy water from his microphone. And we're all just dying. It was so good. Timothy Hawkins was
Tim
his
Hawkins.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Man.
Ever since
That's
seeing
awesome.
that, I've used a variation of that when I talk, because it is. And ever since that, when you see somebody use whatever it's called,
Aspergillum.
okay, then you
Nice.
see a microphone. You just see that, like it brings it contextual every time. So good.
Yeah, that has not really anything to do with what you guys talk about. It was
No,
just that was
good.
in my head and you asked. So I think it's
No,
your turn to tell you.
So, Bill,
Yeah, hit it.
do you have
Hit it.
anything else?
I am an open vessel of longing, waiting to hear your story. That's it. That's me. I'm ready to receive the gift.
So when we release a little teaser, I'm just going to include a 4-minute clip of you saying, "I'm an open vessel of longing," and then that'll be it. That's what people will see. Before.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so nervous, but I surrender.
You're good. You're good. No, okay. So I'm going to end on a non-spiritual note, and it might not even be funny to you. And comedians,
Which is okay. You
yeah.
take that risk as a comedian.
Oh, good.
Comedians will often wait until the end of the show to do the more like edgy stuff. And so if there are people listening, I'm not going to swear, but it is borderline. But this is, I think, the top composite moment of my life when it comes to humor coming through a horrible situation. So my wife and I lived in China for 2 years, and when we got a chance, we would venture out of the country and we'd get together with. So we went to Thailand and we get together with all of our fellow teachers and ministry people. And when we knew we were going there, I asked this friend of mine who had been a missionary in Cambodia, saying like, "Hey, when we go to Thailand, we want to go to Cambodia for a little bit and just see the country. What do you suggest?" And he said, "You have to take. There's a Japanese boat trip you can do down the Mekong River. It's dinner. It's a movie. It's gorgeous down, and it's wonderful. We did it a ton of times." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we took a bus into Cambodia. Crossed the border into Cambodia. They have 4 main roads and they're all off roads. They're not roads. There are no roads. It's just off. And we have video. Actually, it's probably lost because there were no digital cameras back then, but like everything, the road, we were asleep and it was this, and we were just, everything was off road. It was all off road. It was just dirt and trash. And we made it to our little place and we got to our little youth hostel in Phnom Penh. And we were like, "Tomorrow we want to take the boat tour down the Mekong." And they were like, "Okay, we know." And so they signed us up for it. Then you have to be at 4 a.m. I'm like, 4 a.m. All right, that's fine. We'll do it. That's fine. And they were like, "It's $1." And we're like, okay. So we paid our $1. We get up in the morning and it is just beginning to be light. I guess by the time we get in the van, it's about 4:30, 5 o'clock. The sun is just coming up. They're cramming a good 25 people into a 15 passenger van, and we get in and we're all crammed in all of our backpacker bags. When you backpack, everything you own is in this one backpack. It's all on top, strapped down. We get in and the driver is there and he leans out the window and he's like, "Come here." And his 12-year-old son gets in the driver's seat and begins driving us all just recklessly down these roads. And we're like, "Oh, So that's how you die. You always wonder like when you're going to die, and this is the time. And I feel bad about it because I think I squandered my death. And so we make it down to this harbor, and we're pulling into just again. This humor is not minimizing the actual situation because we would love to be missionaries in Cambodia, but for the sake of the story, holy crap, we pull into this harbor area, and you can see out the window. There's just there are hundreds of people wanting to get to the van to sell bread and stuff.
Oh
And we
yeah.
pull down into this fish market area, and the sliding door opens, and just the wave of stench hits all of us 4:30 a.m. Like uh, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And there's like people leaning into the van asking you to buy their bread. And so we get out, and they point to the boat we're supposed to get on. And the boat is it's just this little kayak that's water level, and the water is visibly putrid. The water is the foulest stench I've ever smelt in my life. And we're like, we have to get in that little boat, and they're like, yeah, you get
This is
in, you
great
get
so
in.
far.
So we get in the little boat, and they take us to a bigger boat, and we're like, okay, so this is the big boat. That's awesome. I get it. We're sitting in the big boat, but it's 5 a.m. We smell bad already. All of us are really tired. And at one point I looked over at this one woman. She was a backpacker. She had her pack, and she was like this, and she was just letting the flies crawl on her face. There were flies all over her face, and she's like, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I am a nihilist. And she was just letting it happen. And so we're on this big boat, and the big boat, the propeller came off of this axle down into the water, this long stick. And the guy gunned it, and it splashed putrid water all over the other backpackers in the low sitting boat. And so then they were swearing. And so then we're like, okay, we'll move out of the harbor. There's a floating village. That's cool. And we get out, we're going to get tooling out past, there's a whole village that floats. It's all individual huts floating, and they sell things. And it's kind of quaint, but it's like 5:30 in the morning. And we pass them, and we're like, okay, then we're trying to settle in and get used to the flies and whatever. We come around this little corner, and as the last hut moves out of the way, we see what is essentially the fuselage of a 747 without wings, half floating in the water. It's just a steel tube, which we refer to as the steel suppository. And they pull our nice air, like open air boat up to the suppository, and they're like, get in. We're like, what? Like, you get in now. And the steel tube had a 6-inch lip ledge around the entire side of the boat. So it's just a tube with a lip. It's half in the water, and it's got windows just like an airplane, and the windows are half covered by water. And you walk in, and you walk into the fuselage of a plane, which airline seating all the way back, covered in filth. And our seats were in the back. We were with another couple, another missionary couple. And we walk to the back, and we sit down next to the toilet, which is in the back, like every airplane. And Jacelyn's like, I have to use the restroom. And I was like, no, you don't ever. You don't. She's like, I do. I have to go. And she went in,
Ever.
and she had to
Wait,
climb
you're
up
in
on
standing water. You're in standing water.
We're in the Mekong River, floating in a steel suppository. We're inside of a suppository. It is such an apt analogy. And she goes into the toilet, and she has to climb up on a 3-foot high block where there's a toilet seat, but it's a squatty potty because like in Asia, squatty. But as more and more people get in the boat sinks, and the water pressure that you would have been peeing just starts to come out of the toilet. So she's squatting, and filth is just pouring into the tube, and we're just actively
Lord,
sinking.
Mercy.
So she gets out of the toilet, and she gets out, and we realize things have gone horribly wrong. This is not the Japanese dinner cruise. And so we sit down in our chair, and my friend, I watch my friend, who's the principal at an international school. I watch him down like a vial of what's it called? The sleeping
Dramamine or whatever.
No dose or something.
No, it's the one that helps you sleep. Anyway, just and you like, and then he was an overweight man, and he wedged his neck sideways, and he went to sleep, and he left us, and his wife was abandoned, like stuck between them because he's bigger. So then the boat starts moving. It's a deafening engine, and none of this is made up. I'm not exaggerating any of it. We start traveling down the Mekong, and I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. You know, people did. I always tell myself, people lived through Auschwitz. Everything's fine.
Sure.
So we're going down the river, and I can see the water, and I realize, okay, so I have a 2-liter bottle. I drank this 2-liter bottle, and I kept it sealed in case I needed air. When everyone else was drowning, I could breathe in a little air in the 2-liter and let them all drown and die, and then I could swim out. So we go, and then an hour goes by, and 2 hours go by, and 3 hours go by, and 4 hours go by. And about the 4th hour, I had to get out. So I walked up onto the 6-inch lip of the sweltering 100-degree heat lip of the boat. And I'm watching people who are sitting on the curved top of the boat, just blistering in the sun. I'm watching them blister. And I was standing, my toes were hanging off. I was reading The Grapes of Wrath, which was so appropriate. And I was reading this book for hours upon hours. Okay.
You're reading The Grapes of Wrath during this.
And I'll draw to a close now because 7 hours on a steel suppository down the Mekong Putrid River. And we arrive, and this is where it gets a little dicey. We arrive in the capital city, and they pull the tube up to the dock. And we all get out, and we're all stumbling around, and people, they do it. They have heat blisters all over, and they're all getting out of the tube, and they start, everybody's bags are up top, and they start throwing the bags off. This one Cambodian guy goes to throw the bag of some backpacker, and it gets caught in his hand, and it flips, and it drops into the Putrid River between the 1-foot gap between the boat and the land, and he grabs it. And so this is where everything came. Everybody was miserable. Everybody wanted to die. None of us knew this was going to happen. There was all this buildup of anger and fear of death. I'm going to die in feces. And he picks it up. And in Cambodia, they say, no problem, no problem, no problem. So there's a man on shore whose backpack it was. And he was from Austria. But for some reason, he was wanting to be angry in English. And he had no idea syntax and sentence structure. And so it falls in the water, and the Cambodian guy is like, no problem, no problem. And he's like, but it is a problem. But it is a problem. And then he starts screaming. And what he wanted to say was, this is effing unbelievable. But he was saying the word. He wanted to say that. But from the bottom of his soul, for all of us, he began screaming, this is unbelievable effing. This is unbelievable effing. Like Hitler in the midst of his anger, just screaming it. And every backpacker just died laughing just at him. And they kept saying, no problem. But it is a problem. This is unbelievable effing. And all of us were laughing, and it was the best moment. Like the 7 hours of hell, it was just, we all laughed, and it was, his backpack was ruined and like soaked with putrid. And for the rest of our lives, I mean, every one of us was just like, this is unbelievable effing. That's what it is. Do you know what this is? This is unbelievable effing. It was so good. So
that is the craziest. Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Like 7th ring of hell.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be real.
I know. It shouldn't.
Yeah, it shouldn't be real.
It felt like a hidden camera. Like if it wasn't
it
so
was like
real.
Cambodia's revenge. I don't know. Like how did they?
It was the way they got back at every traveler.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. This is your entertainment.
Yeah.
Now we have you where we want.
Some people expected a movie. We're just gonna do this.
You never found the Japanese voyage.
No, but I did have words to say for the missionary who told us to take the boat ride down the river. But,
oh yeah.
So anyway, the reason I wanted to close with that, because it doesn't have anything to do. I mean, you could draw spiritual overtones from it and undertones and whatever. And
true.
But there's just the idea that like you can just laugh at something that had happened. And I think all of my life, like obviously there's reasons I can't tell that story all the time among youth and stuff, but like the idea of just after all of that, like temporary uncomfortableness, it all ended in laughter. Everybody there on the dock was like, all at this guy's expense, obviously, But
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
feel for that.
So-
I feel for that poor Austrian guy.
I do.
really
The next day we saw him
I
at the
hope he
killing
slept.
fields, and he did not look well.
Killing.
We were walking around. So and here we
Wait, stop. Stop. The next day we saw him at the killing
at the
fields.
killing fields.
What the?
And he was walking around like this, and his head was all he was still seeing sights, and he was blistered beyond belief because he had been on top of the boat. And I was like, "You don't look good." And he said, "I am not good." And then he kind of walked away.
Oh
So
my gosh.
he was having it rough. But consequently, actually, the killing fields is where my wife received her actual light bulb moment and became a missionary, a doctor because of that moment. And so like it's all
Wow.
weird, like these moments. They're all intertwined, but that was a good moment of laughter and joy. Then that's
That's
single funniest moment in my life. Unbelievable effing.
I don't know where to go
No,
right now.
there's nowhere to go.
Into laughter.
It's the end.
This is the. This is the end. It is over.
It is over.
It is over.
It is a problem. You see, it is a problem. You see, because this is unbelievable effing. And if you could put yourself in his shoes, he was getting it like this is effing unbelievable that you would do this, but that's not what any human being heard.
And yet,
I just one of the funniest things I find about it, most people won't, is that he knew a 5-syllable English word but didn't know where to put it.
I don't even know.
That's
And the
so
guy,
good.
the guy was so close. Like the thin veil, like the Reynolds wrap, like veil of. If you could just cross over the unbelievable effing, you would be dying laughing right now.
You would, if
your
you
life
could,
would change.
If you'd said it right, you would have got your anger across. But nope.
Yeah, the glory was
one word
palpable. The glory, the fragrance
so
was right there.
So anyway,
my life is better for having heard that story.
Seriously, that's so in my life. I know that's so dumb, but like, and again, keep in mind he was saying the F word, and in that moment, it was better. It was way better. So when we hang up, you can recite it to yourself. But just that fact that has lived actually as the funniest moment of my life. After all of that, to see somebody so mistaken and misguided in there, see, it keeps coming. It hits you in waves.
Please,
it
God,
hits you.
next Sunday you'll meet him in heaven. Please, God.
I know. I want to.
And he will say, "This is unbelievable." But he won't. He
I
won't.
just this middle-aged Austrian with glasses and like wrinkles on his cheeks and a good jawline, just raging.
Yeah.
Just
enjoy though.
Yeah.
Finally enjoy.
Oh man.
Because he did his purgatory on earth. He already did it. It was
and
that
the
river
Cambodian guy will be there, and he'll be like, "So sorry about that.
It's
that
no problem.
My bad. Mea culpa. It was all me. It was totally me." So anyway,
I'm exhausted. But it's a good exhaustion. Wow.
Anybody got a toast?
It's Bill.
Take it, Bill.
I think I have 3 molecules left.
Take it.
Yeah.
Second.
That is unbelievable effing.
Yeah. Unbelievable effing in this glass.
It is a problem.
I don't even know what's happening. You guys are awesome.
It's late.
To the joy beyond words that awaits us, to the thin veil of this earth and all of our sorrows, which we don't take lightly, but we must. That in the end all shall be well. In all things all shall be well.
Amen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Amen.
Oh,
Oh,
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That was
if
awesome.
you made it through that whole video, thanks for tuning in. We had fun. No matter what, we
Is
had
anyone
fun.
there? Is anyone still there? Thank you.